Objective 4. Define alternation of generation and distinguish between the sporophyte and the gametophyte in the plant life cycle. Well, plants have two different, I guess you'd say, types of in their life cycle, types of generations. You have gametophytes, which are haploid or one N. That's your going to be your male and female gametes, the gametophytes, and they produce, when fertilization occurs, the multicellular diploid sporophytes. And then the diploid sporophytes produce the haploid gametophytes. As I said, the sporophyte is diploid, 2N, and it produces the spores by meiosis. And the spore is the haploid cell that becomes the gametophyte. The gametophyte is the haploid cell, and you've got a multicellular individual that produces the gametes, and the gametes fuse to form the zygote during fertilization, and the zygote is the diploid cell that becomes the sporophyte. You can see it here. The sporophyte is always shown in blue, and the gametophyte is in that beige color. And you can see the sporophyte, that's you've got the zygote that starts out on the left after fertilization. That's diploid. It goes through mitosis. It produces this sporophyte that then produces the spores by meiosis, and that takes you into the gametophyte stage. And the gametophytes then fuse, the male and the female gametes fuse, and that leads at fertilization back to the sporophyte stage, which is the zygote. Again, the blue is the sporophyte, and the beige is the gametophyte. So you look at it closely. You see how as the sporophyte size gets bigger, you see how small the gametophyte size gets. So you start out over here with a moss with a large gametophyte and a small sporophyte. And then when you get down there to the angiosperm, you got the small gametophytes and the large sporophyte. And the spores and the seeds, that's for reproduction. That's where the gametes are found. They're going to produce the gametes. Looking at some terrestrial adaptations, again here, that zygote produces that. The zygote is the diploid embryo, and we got to keep it from drying out or desiccating. So it's got to be protected. And so the sporophyte generation produces several sporangia, and the sporangia make the spores by meiosis. And the sporophytes become that haploid gametophyte. And the male, they will have these gametangia, and the male gametangium is called the antheridium, and the female is called the archegonium. Again, you've got other terrestrial adaptations, such as waxy cuticle to prevent water loss, stomata that allow for the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, and then apical tissue, which can produce complex tissues and organs. That's the tissue on the tips.